Thanks, Andrea. Tens of thousands of Nova Scotia residents are still without power after post-tropical storm Fiona rampaged through Atlantic Canada over the weekend. The province's disaster financial assistance program will cover up to $200,000 in uninsured losses per household or business. And Premier Tim Houston announced a package of additional supports to help cover spoiled food, remove debris, and shelter those who are forced to leave their home. People can apply for assistance online or in person at a local MLA office. Premier Houston joins us this morning. Thanks for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Premier, you have already toured some of the hardest hit areas of the province, most notably up in Cape Breton. What are the province's top priorities right now in terms of assisting those who are affected by the storm?
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, the predictions were for a historic storm, and Fiona certainly delivered that. The damage is severe. The damage is all through really northeast Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, but through Colchester, Pictou County, Antigonish County, Guysborough. This was a big, wide storm. So really the priorities right now still remain make sure people have safe shelter and make sure we're in contact with people doing these wellness checks. There's still some people that, communications issue, haven't been able to reach. Roads is still a little bit impassable. So, and getting power to people. So, look, there's a huge effort going on. I know that there's a lot of crews, frontline workers out there right now been working tirelessly. They feel the urgency. Government feels the urgency. But we'll get through this here in Nova Scotia. It's been heartwarming to see communities coming together, neighbors helping each other. That's the Nova Scotia way. That's the Blue Noser way. And we're seeing it shine through even in this terrible catastrophe.
Premier, we're about 5 days out from the storm. We know that the short term, there's a lot of work happening to restore power, like you mentioned, but thinking ahead to the long term, I mean, hundreds of people throughout the province were displaced over the weekend. Some of them don't have homes to go back to. When we talk about long-term assistance, what will the province do for those who have lost their homes or are looking at lengthy repairs that keep them out of their home?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge concern for sure. We know that there are a lot of displaced people, so they're in shelters at the moment. Even housing has been an issue, of course, before the storm, but certainly now too, with all the crews converging. We have a lot of crews are here working all day, cleaning trees, fixing power lines, and going and sleeping on a cot in a gymnasium at nighttime. So, look, there's a lot. The recovery is going to take time for sure. As a province, we've rolled out an initial round of supports for shelter. We're supporting food banks. We're supporting other shelters as well. But we know it's going to take time. And we also know that the program of supports that we rolled out right away was pretty immediate, pretty unprecedented in the amount of things it's covering. But we also know that it might not be exactly perfect. If we need to pivot a little bit, if we need to improve it, change it, we'll do that too. Because I firmly believe most people, they get up, they go to work, they pay their taxes, they never ask the government for anything. So when things like this happen, it's a responsibility of government to be there for their citizens, and we'll do everything we can to support them.
Speaking of government, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in the province earlier this week. Talking to reporters, he said the federal government is looking at ways to build more climate-resilient infrastructure. Now, back in 2018, the province and the federal government reached an agreement to fund the modernization of infrastructure in Nova Scotia, earmarked $172 million over 10 years for the climate change mitigation substream, which, among other climate-related goals, that's going to improve the resiliency of provincial infrastructure. When we look at this storm, we see that there was a significant amount of damage. Do we think we need to up some of those improvements that we had previously planned for?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to look at that. Obviously, the restoring power to people is a priority. Looking at things like where is it possible to bury lines? Would they have made a difference? I mean, these are longer term things, as you point out, but the communications issues that have happened have been a major concern for me and all Nova Scotia. It's been very difficult to communicate with loved ones, to communicate with first responders. So that has not been an inconvenience. That's actually been a real issue in the response and the recovery. So there's always going to be improvements that can be made, but certainly today our focus is on making sure people are safe, making sure people have power, making sure people have water and food and all these things that are a real priority for us today. But over the longer term, you're absolutely right. There are bigger questions to be answered on how we prepare and how we respond. But today, we just have to focus on what's in front of us right now, make sure people are safe.
Premier Houston, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.